Don't let social media cause you your job.
So, hey guys, I am here. I am Barika. I hope you're doing well. And I have Anita on, and we are going to be talking today about just kind of some advice and things that we notice that maybe will help people in the younger generation. And I'll let Anita share her background in a second. And my background is I've worked in multiple industries, including corporate America, including working in education, included working in just uh, insurance, all kind of other things. So I worked in a multitude of industries and I have a multitude of experience and I am working as a leadership coach right now. And then Anita, can you share with us your background and kind of what you're up to?
Yes, well, I'm Anita, and I am a fifth generation business owner. I absolutely love everything business when it comes to finance, when it comes to marketing, just anything business. I'm your girl. So I really love that. So I actually have my degree in business administration and management. Also, certifications in small business management, entrepreneurship. So, like I said, I'm all about businesses. So that's a little bit about me.
I love that. And then what Anita, you have had employees as a small business owner. I know you had a family business as well, so you've had employees from that perspective. So we're talking from today from the perspective of people who've actually done hiring and had to do terminations as well. So we just want to give like a little bit of advice for this newer generation because I know, many people in this new generation are really great with technology. And actually, I read an article that was saying like a lot of the leaders are saying they're having to go back and teach like social skills to the newer generation because they are used to the technology, but they're not used to actually interacting with people and then knowing what's like socially like norm, like what's I guess how to be a part of the culture of a company. And I know like there's a lot of upheaval, like not upheaval, but a lot of people who have thoughts on, oh, things need to be this way or things need to change. And yes, in some instances, some things need to change, but then we don't always need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There's a part that needs to change, but then there's also something to be said about stability. So you can't have everything changing all the time. It's this utter chaos, and then you can't have hold on to tradition so much that you never change when change is needed. So, anyway, so we're gonna just have a conversation about what's some advice you would give to someone in the younger generation, Anita, about maybe if they're interviewing or just anything work related, just maybe even approaching work. What's something that you see something sometimes maybe when you're out and about and you're like, okay, I ran into this, young waitress or I ran into this young person at the college. And man, I just want to tell them this. Like, do you ever have anything that just pops in your head that you want to say to
Yes,
them?
and it's funny because you're first you started off talking about like getting the old and the new, and I will say I'm a firm believer of we need a little bit of both. We need some of the old things that we did, the old rules and things that we follow. We definitely need them because those were able to help us get to where we are. But then also we're able to because of the time, because of where we're at, the generation that we're in, we are able to start putting in a little bit of the new things. My problem is with and I don't wanna just say, new generation workers. I just wanna say with some workers. So if it's you, you need to listen. It's you. If the shoe fits, wear it. Um, so my thing is like customer service. I think having the skill of knowing how to treat people when you're at work. And don't get me wrong, I know everyone has something going on and life starts to life and that's understandable. But when life's lifey, when you're at work, let's go ahead and try to not let life at work. Let's try to treat people with respect because at the end of the day, you don't know who you're serving. What if you're serving somebody that's a multimillionaire and they come into your restaurant and maybe they're looking to hire someone for their company. And if you treat them with respect, they'll be like, wow, I remember I had so and so serve me. And they did a phenomenal job. Hey, do pass you a card? But if you're like have the worst attitude, the worst personality, you just don't care. You're like, why did I come to work today? My life is really life and I'm not in the mood. Then what's gonna happen? That person's probably gonna be like, okay, you might be a great employee and that person might just bypass you. So customer service skills. That's my big pet peeve. Like, when you go somewhere, I feel like you can go somewhere that has the best food and has worse customer service, and you're like, "I'm never going back there again." So, definitely, that's something we need to work on. I'm sorry, let me get off my soapbox.
You're fine, because I was thinking, like, the one exception is, like, you always have that neighborhood, like, barbecue place or something like that where they have the worst attitudes, but the best food, and it's like, "We're gonna tolerate it just because the Johnson family has owned
Yeah.
this place for,
They're
like"
like,
and
"Hey,
your
yo."
ribs are always slamming, right?
Yeah, they're like, "Girl, come on, let me serve you," and you're like, "Oh, she made, but these ribs are best." Yes.
But the only way you can get away with that is if y'all have some, like, special secret sauce. So if you don't have the
Exactly.
special secret sauce, you need to have it together. And I think that you mentioned something really important, Anita, and I will be forever grateful that the majority of all of my first couple of jobs, were in customer service because I feel like no matter where you go, you have to interact with customers,
Yeah,
clientele. So whether you're starting at the top or at the bottom, you're going to have to interact with clientele. And even if you own your own business, you still have to have those skills because if you have a nasty attitude and you're a business owner, people aren't going to want to do business with you
yeah,
unless you're the Johnsons with the best barbecue and the secret sauce. And then there was, something else you had mentioned that I felt was, like, really, really, really important is, like, you have to think about the future. You have to think about how you're treating customers, and then also people who are excellent are looking for excellent people. Like, for instance, right now, I'm outside of the US, and there's a lady that I encountered, and I was like, "Man, if she spoke English, I would hire her in a minute." She doesn't work in my industry at all. She doesn't do any type of work related to what I do, but because I have seen her in excellence on her current job, I was like, all I gotta do is train you. You're an excellent person. So
yeah,
all I would have to do is train you. And once I train you, you will be excellent. Because excellent people is something like innate inside of them where they're going to rise to the top regardless of where they're placed.
yeah.
And so I remember having a conversation with someone recently where we talked about how you never find an excellent employee unemployed.
That's so
You
true.
always find them at work. Like, so read between the lines and hear what I'm saying, and I don't know, do you wanna expound upon what I just said? Because I was not gonna, go deeper into that, but I was gonna let people just figure out what I'm saying, but if you want to expound on that, you can,
No,
and then
and you're right, an excellent employee, you're gonna find them at work because they're always gonna get a job. I was this the when you were talking, I was thinking about I don't know if you said this, so if you did, I'm sorry, I'm taking it, but if it's yours, I'm giving you the credit, or if I heard it from somewhere else, but, someone was saying for small business owners or just any kind of business owner, a corporation, whoever, you're looking for so everyone that you interact with, like I mentioned. So you say, for example, I work as you mentioned working in customer service. Say if
Mhm,
you worked in customer service and in your head, you're like, you know what, I know I'm gonna start a business.
mhm,
And you're watching the people that you even work with. And I think customer service is not only with our customers, we also need to be kind to the people that we're also working with, the way we hold ourselves. So say if you're working with somebody and you're like, okay, I'm new here, and then you see like this manager that's really getting into, the mud with you and they're training you, but they're also working. And I think to me, the best managers are the ones that are willing to do whatever they ask of you to do. So if you're like in your head, okay, I'm gonna start a business, and then say like 5 years later, you're like, okay, this business is like, doing great, multi-million-dollar business. And then all of a sudden you think, okay, now I need a manager. And hopefully a multi-million-dollar before that you're hiring a manager. But just for this purpose, say you're like looking for a manager and you're like, you know what, remember that person that I worked with? They did an amazing job, and you're like, "You know what? Let me actually see if I can contact them." And that's all within networking too. We're constantly networking with people, and we need to make sure that, that we're upholding ourselves at a high standard, and yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. It doesn't have to be you don't have to wear name brand clothes or any of these things, but the way you present yourself. It's so important. And honestly, that's what comes with it. That's why, people that are, good at what they do, they always have a job because I'm always going to want to hire somebody that I'm like, wow, they come to work and no matter what's going on, they have the best personality and no one else, nobody feels any kind of way. And just to cut this short, I'm sorry. I remember a time I was working at um a call center and like a major life event happened and I was like, "Okay, I had to go back to work." And I'm working and like just literally my life crashed, like just everything was going on. But when I got on the phone with those customers, I was like, hello, thank you for calling, da, 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 and people, nobody knew what was happening. People were crying on the phone, and I'm over there like, I want to cry. But I upheld, myself, my standard of who I am. So yes, that's so important just because people are watching, everyone's watching. And we want to make sure that we're giving them something good to look at, not something bad.
So, in speaking about that, I have heard of people who are often, not often, I would say, but they have offered people jobs just from interacting with them. So basically what we're saying is like excellent people are headhunted, okay?
Yes.
So people will actively go out and look for those type of people. They're like, "Oh, they're like this is a person who's good at what they're doing." And they'll slide a business card and say, "Hey, when you looking to make more money or you want to like change career or whatever, go ahead and give me a call." That does happen. That has happened to me. Um, so just know that excellent people are looking for other excellent people.
That's so
There are
true.
enough lazy people in the world, there are enough complainers in the world, and really even this is another tidbit. The size of the problems that you solve determines the income that you make, whether you are working for someone or you're working for yourself. So just know that the difficulty of the problems, the more difficult the problem, the higher the increase of the salary goes. Okay. So that's just
Yes.
another nugget in case you haven't heard that one before as well. Do you have any nuggets that pop into your head? If not, I'll go into another.
No, go ahead. I'm like, tell me more about
Yeah. But if something pops in your head, because we both have life experience, so we just want to just share with people what we've learned, and then also from the perspective of being a hiring manager, there are some things that we look for, and there are some things that are red flags. And I know I, I want to say I love the babies, meaning like I love the new generation, and I understand. I understand that there are some things that happen in past generations on jobs and things like that that should not have happened, right? But we also shouldn't lump every job and work situation into the same thing. I've worked for good bosses and I've worked for bad bosses. All my bosses, I'm not going to say are terrible because I've had just a handful of bad bosses.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to say, you know what I mean? So I'm not going to say all of the experience, my work experience is terrible because of a couple of bad experiences that I've had or bad work experiences and bad leaderships that I had, or maybe I just ran into them in the bad time of their life and they just were doing things that weren't really helpful. So I think that we have to be very careful and cautious about that because and be careful even with social media because like if you're on TikTok and you're looking at people complaining about their work and stuff like that, it's just going to send you more videos about people complaining, and unfortunately it kind of can put you in a silo where you start to think everybody hates their job, and that's not the truth. That's not the
No.
truth. That's not the truth. So be very careful about what you consume. I remember someone very wise said to me, "What you behold is what you will become." So be aware of what you're beholding. What are you putting in front of your eyes? What are you putting in your ears? Because that is going to control. If you're listening to like really depressing music all the time, or watching really depressing movies, or movies with full of drama, and everybody's like all the time, and then you're on the job and you're like, "Where did that come from?" That came from that TV show, you know? If you can take a lot of that, and not to say that you can't, enjoy and take in entertainment, but just know that those things affect us more than we realize. Like, actually, if you take, like, a media fast, like, where you cut out social media or cut out TV shows or whatever for a period of time, and then you go back to them, you'll realize that, like, we get desensitized to some things. So, anyway, I know that wasn't really what something I was planning on talking about, but that's just something that just came up. What are your thoughts on that? Like, as far as what we take in?
No, it's very important to make sure that we're taking in things that are going to help lift us up and not bring us down. And like you mentioned, you can be watching, and I mean, we all do it. We get scrolling on TikTok or even Instagram. We see the shorts, the videos, and we get to scrolling and we see something. We're like, haha, that's funny. I know for like 2020, the big thing was nurses. Nurses were posting videos, and I'm like, wow, this is funny. But those things actually cause, like, sometimes consequences. I remember there was one video where the nurses were doing some icks about, like, their patients, and it actually cost them their job. Like, listen,
Yeah,
don't let social
like, first of
media
all, the law.
exactly. Don't let social media cost you your job because, yes, you might be
Say
working
it
at
again, say it again, say it again.
don't let social media cost you your job. You might be working at a small, like, you know, a franchise right now, McDonald's, whatever, But one day we wanna get hired in a bigger position, I would hope. Even in McDonald's, people wanna become managers of sometimes people wanna own a franchise. You think I'm gonna sell you a franchise if you over here talking about me? No, no. So make sure that, like you said, make sure what you're consuming, make sure what you're posting, make sure it's, going to lift you up and bring you up, not put you down. Like, yes, sometimes we see them laugh. Listen, I'm famous for seeing those things and I'm like, "Wow, that's funny." But just know that, hey, not all that's not work. That's not work life. Those people that are probably making funnies, they probably don't work at the facility that you're talking about anymore. So be careful. Be careful what we post and be careful what we see.
I think that's I'm gonna change the title of what I was gonna name this video to that. Don't let social media cost you your job. You know, that's
Exactly.
listen, because I see people posting stuff and I'm like, do you know it's out there forever? For
Yes.
one thing. And then potential employers look at that stuff, like it's different if you're doing like comedy skits, but even you still have to just be careful because it can just
Yes.
it can rub somebody the wrong way, and then you're like, "Well, I applied for this job and I didn't get this job, and why didn't I get it?" And you may never know. You may go 10 years before you realize that it was your social media post that people were running across, and they're like, "Okay,
Mhm.
don't hire this person." And so I want to talk about this one. This is a recent one that's been going around where this girl, she so
I'm like, "Oh, what you should do." Wow.
So, she is ranting and raving on social media about how she is tired of jobs telling her she needs work experience and that her college education is her work experience.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's wrong, and
Yep.
I feel bad for her if she really honestly believes that. I feel like somebody failed her because she should have kno somebody should have told her, like,
Yes.
the college education is just a part of the process. It's not experience. It's not work
Yeah.
experience.
No,
And
it's
one of the best things, I thank God that this happened to me. One of the best things that happened was when I was in college full time, I was working full time. And I
yes.
didn't realize how great that was. Like if you're in college right now, take a part-time job, do something, get some intern something so you can get some experience so that when you come out you're not starting from scratch. So if you're like I don't want an entry level position, cool. Coming out of college, cool. You need to be working while you're in college or you need to have done some work before you got into college because please don't come out of college expecting somebody to just hand you a high paying job and you have never done anything. You haven't proven yourself. Just because you have head knowledge doesn't mean that you can apply the head knowledge that you have.
Yeah.
Having head knowledge and applying it is two totally different things.
Yeah.
Two
Oh,
totally different things.
yeah.
So, and then the thing is, even and then what she said, what her major was, she said her major is marketing. So then for me, I'm like, if I was hiring for marketing, the fact that you can't market yourself,
That's so true.
that tells me you don't have enough experience. And then she was throwing a tantrum. She like literally and legitly threw a tantrum. It was like at the end, I was like, now you seem unhinged. So now you seem so I just was like, and I know you and I had a conversation, Anita, and I was like, in real life, there are no participation trophies. Like some
Mm-mm.
people, I think they got used to, everybody gets a trophy, everyone gets a certificate, everyone in real life, that's not how it works. You gotta perform to get you gotta show the goods, to get it. And I'm gonna say this, and it's probably gonna, feel how you want about it. But think about it before I say this, think about it if you were a business owner or if you are a business owner.
Yes.
Will you pay somebody for doing the bare minimum? Like pay them extra, not their salary. Their salary is their salary or whatever their hourly rate is, that's fine. But are you going to pay them extra for doing the bare minimum? You know they're doing the bare minimum, they know they're doing the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay them extra money for doing the bare minimum? Especially but that's just one. And then also if you have employees doing over and above, and you have extra money in the budget to pay them, a good leader is going to pay the over and above. So I think, with all the quiet quitting and the quiet, what's the other thing? Is quiet quitting is another one.
I don't know. I only know about quiet quitting.
Mhm. It's it's another one too where they like people are just kind of backing off of the job. Listen, I get it. If they're overworking you, I get it. I get it. If they're not treating you right, I get it. I get it. But please just know in you making the choice to do the bare minimum or do just the like what little is required, that the company's not required to they're not required to give you a bonus, like
Yeah.
or to increase give you a raise. Like if you're not performing better, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you're just doing what's in your job description, if you're then they are required to give you whatever you make per hour or whatever you're making your salary. So, okay, before you put something in the comments, just look, think about it if you were a business owner. Like, I know people, you some people, I think they have an entitlement mentality, and that's the thing that kinda concerns me. Now, if a company could do something for you and they should do something for you, I'm all down for that. For them, like, yeah, give people their flowers. If they are working hard, give them their money, give them their vacation, give them whatever the benefits are that they have earned, for going above and beyond, or for even meeting the metrics that the company never thought could be met. But then when it comes out to you just basically you're a C student and you're expecting A student
Or
privileges.
yep, exactly.
You're like, "Why didn't I get a brand new car?" Because you got C's.
Yep.
You're doing C work, level work. I think that's the best, like, analogy for you're doing C to D level work, but you wanna go to the honor roll assembly and get on stage.
Exactly. No. That's
Come
not going
on.
to happen. No, and you know what though? I like that you mentioned that video because I'm like, oh, I have not seen that video with that lady. But and this is the first thing that came in my mind when somebody is like, oh, my college degree is my work experience. Okay, that's fine. I want to know why do you think that? Like literally, they all leave comments like, why would you think that? Even if you're not the one thinking it, why do you think that? Because I mean, if a college degree is our work experience, do you want to go to the doctor's office? And you want your surgeon to take care of you who's never had work experience?
Come on, you better say that.
I mean, even if we go a little lower, your accountant, the CPA, the person that files your taxes. I mean, let's keep on. I think those are things that you need to think of. Like these people also had to get a job so they can be trained, so then they can be able to do what you need them to do to the best of their ability. So that's something to sit on. That's something to think about. Make sure that we all have I'm sorry, it sucks. I know nobody wants to be entry level, but we all have to start somewhere. We all have to start in this place and go there. When we're a baby, how many of y'all just start walking? Let me know. Y'all just start running? No,
Out the
exactly. Yeah,
womb.
exactly. They're like, "Wow, I can run." And I know these 2020 babies are advanced, but let's slow down. Like they still have
I
to
want
learn.
table food out the womb. Give me some
Exactly.
steak and some
Exactly.
taters.
We have to start somewhere. Remember that. Everyone has to start somewhere. So you're not privileged. Yes. Everybody over here with their college degree think we don't. Listen, sometimes some of y'all don't. Actually sometimes all of us don't. We don't
I'm just being
know
honest, yeah.
what's going on and how to do a job until someone trains us, until we're there in the trenches. And then also too, like I get it, the silent quitting, you work at a job, you don't listen. I've been places where I felt unappreciated, but even with feeling unappreciated, there are people that I can reach out to before I go on social media. Like not everything I feel needs to be broadcast on social media. I have family members I can vent to. I have, some not coworkers, try to keep it into your house because they're not going to tell on you. But I have family members that I can go ahead and say, hey, you know what, today at work, they really test my patience and they really forgot who I am, and even if that's not helping you, talk to your management. Like a lot of people are afraid to speak to the people that are in charge. You got to remember that even leaders, even managers, they're human beings. So sometimes they might not. You're over here like, oh, throwing hissy fit. Oh, I'm so mad. How dare they overlook me? Maybe they didn't know they overlooked you. Open your mouth and say, hey, can I talk to you on the side? Can we have a private conversation? And if you want to make it even better, bring somebody else in that private conversation. So it's, three of y'all. So then if anything happens, at least, you have somebody in there that's unbiased of the situation. So I think that's very important to remember that, hey, you have people that you can talk to. And then, listen, if your manager is not listening, then go to his manager and then keep on until you got to go to HR. It is okay. They're there to listen. I mean, leave that for last, but go ahead and reach out to the right channels. Don't just post it on social media because listen, it's going to cost you your job and it's not worth it. Especially if that's how you pay your bills, don't go crazy, so that's just my thing. I think it's so important with just conducting ourselves the right way. I think we think, oh, well, I posted on social media. Nobody's going to see. I changed my name to, you know, Stacy
Let's
don't
just
care about
59.
yeah, Stacy don't care about this job 99 and you think nobody's gonna find you. No, Stacy, you will be found and you will lose your job. And guess what? You still won't be getting that raise. So don't do anything that's gonna jeopardize your job.
Yeah, and then sometimes you can put something on social media and you think, "Oh, I just have a couple of my coworkers," but then sometimes your coworkers will go behind your back and show it to your manager. You're like, "I don't know."
Yes. When you
This
could have
then I
just
think
told
what
your manager yourself.
yeah, you put it and I think what you said is so powerful because I know, like, when I was younger, social media wasn't really around, so we had a diary. Either we talked to our friends or you wrote in your diary, and I was like, I think some people just need to get a diary and
Yes, write it
because we
down.
do have to get those. Now, this is important. We have to get those emotions out, but there's a right way to do it where it's not damaging, and I think that you
Yes,
mentioned something really important, Anita, about building relationships and networking because really that's can always be helpful. You never know. You never know when you might run into a person who, you may need years from now,
yes.
or you just never know, or someone who may need you years from now. So, or even just a couple months from now, So I think that that's really important. And yeah, go ahead. You were going to say
No,
something. Yeah.
no, that's true. And also too, remember, I think this is so important, especially right now during this social media age. Like everybody wants to be social media famous. Just to let everyone know, not everyone becomes social media famous. So don't post something and then lose your job thinking that you're gonna become famous on social media. Like that's not
Mhm.
how that works. It's a whole process. Those people that you see on social media, they had to get training and they have to work really hard because it's their job and they will not do anything to jeopardize their job. So then again, don't do anything that jeopardizes your job, your character, you know, who you are. And it's so you're just it's so crazy because we look at it like, like, oh, okay, whatever, my when I'm at work, whatever. But at the end of the day, who you are, your person is so important, whether you're at work or at home. So try to conduct yourself with some kind of dignity or respect for yourself and who you are. Because once you do that, other people are gonna be like, okay, you know what? Hey, I see you. I see what you're doing. And I'm able sometimes somebody will speak up for you. "Hey, I saw what you're doing. Now I see somebody didn't recognize that. I recognize that. I'm gonna actually tell so and so I saw that." And look, you could have been recognized without all the riffraff. So, we need to remember that, how important it is.
I love it. I love it's been a great conversation. So I think that that's a great point to end on. I love having you on. I love our because these are like our natural conversations that we have, just about certain things that we notice. So we thought it would just be really great for us to come on and to share some of our thoughts with just the younger generation, even some people, because some people they don't have the parents there or the guidance there or the mentors there to help them to know like things like don't wear shorts to an interview. If you're going to a corporate interview, don't wear shorts, like, it's just certain things that, unfortunately someone wasn't there to guide them. So, and just know that we're saying all of this out of love. We're not saying it to try to be like judgmental, but we want to help somebody. If we help just even one person, then we've done what we set out to do today. So thank
Exactly.
you, Anita, for coming on. It's been a pleasure as always, always. And if you haven't had a chance, check out the video where she tells us her story. She's a fifth generation entrepreneur. So I'll make sure I link that to this video. And with that being said, make it a great day. Bye, guys.